Okay, so now you've heard all of those moon-associated words, lunatic and lunacy, loonies, all of those things. Deprecatory, right? Those are not wonderful words to associate with a heavenly body. But if we're talking about somebody who has a heavenly body, you must be talking about Dr. Sky. How about that for an introduction, huh?
That's amazing, Pat. Good to be with you and the viewers this morning. What an amazing end of May 2021 that we have. And I just wanted to alert everyone, lunar eclipses are very rare by nature. Solar eclipses can be even more rare. So on the morning of the 26th, very early for the Western United States, we get to see one of the most amazing eclipses. It's one of the shortest of the total lunar eclipses in history. So the time to look, if you're up that early, Wednesday morning, the 26th, start looking at around 2:45 a.m. local time. You'll see the left edge of the moon move into the umbral shadow of the Earth. So you'll start to see darkening on the left edge.
Oh, tell me that shadow word again.
Umbral, umbra.
What does it mean?
It's the deep center shadow. The Earth and every space object projects two shadows into space. One is the outer shadow, called the penumbra, and the inner shadow is called the umbra. And people in the art world also understand that too. It's different tones. So
Burnt umber.
Umbral.
Right, but is that the art world that you're talking about?
Absolutely.
Okay, but still, why is it that this lunar eclipse is getting all the press? Because there's something different about it.
Absolutely. It's one of the shortest of all times. And in this Saros cycle, every 18 and a half years, these cycles of eclipses repeat. So this particular Saros cycle started off around maybe the year 1300. But this is the last of the total lunar eclipses. But what's happening is when the moon is in, or excuse me, the Earth and the shadow, when the moon is in the shadow, it's only about 14 minutes of totality. It's a very short eclipse. So once again, start looking at around 2:45 a.m. The left edge of the moon goes into that umbral shadow, and around 4:11, pretty precise. That'll be about the maximum time for the eclipse, and then it all ends just around before 4:30, and then everything goes backwards, so you'll see the partial phases go in reverse.
But in this particular case, if I read things correctly, it isn't just a matter of the excitement of seeing an eclipse.
Right.
That since the beginning of man has created a great deal of discussion and sometimes deep concerns, but it's also something called a blood moon?
Yes, and there's another part to this, and I'm glad you're mentioning this or bringing it to the attention. This one we actually call a blood moon. See, in astronomy, there's no such thing as a blood moon. Astrology has basically given this to the moon. Because from eschatology, the story of how ends of times will come, and many people, of course, very fervent believers in the Bible, in the book of Revelations, they talk about the moon turning blood red. And in this case, the moon always turns reddish or orange.
Really?
At this time when we have a total lunar eclipse. What the short answer is as to why it turns that color, light is refracted around the edges of the Earth's atmosphere, and if there were storms on that exact edges, like my hands are, you would see if there were more clouds, less of a darkening, or even more of a darkening, depending. So this is quite fascinating, and it's also, Pat, something even more prolific. It's called a super flower moon. So we have this as the super, it's kind of interesting, it's a long term. We have the full super flower moon, and here's another bit of information. This is the closest moon, meaning perigee-wise, to the Earth of all of 2021. So that's another good reason to look at it. It's at its closest for the year 2021. It's one of the shortest total lunar eclipses you'll ever see. And people may say, well, gee, I want a long total eclipse of the moon.
But I'm going to get up in the middle of the night or early morning because this is a big deal eclipse.
Absolutely. It's amazing. And also to remind people that this is something that you don't have to worry about like solar eclipses. People always ask me, Dr. Sky, is this dangerous to look at? Well, obviously no, because what's happening is the sun is here, the Earth is here, and then the moon would be on this side. So the light of the moon that we see from the sun is blocked out simply by the Earth. The opposite effect happens when we stare up at the sun. Please don't do that without proper solar glasses. And then we see, of course, those partial phases. If you're lucky enough to see a total solar eclipse, for the few moments that's in totality, that's okay to look at. If you're that interested, and I know people are, mark the date of April the 8th, 2024, for the next total solar eclipse in
Okay,
America.
but it's the 26th for this one,
Yes,
early in the morning. You're going to be
Absolutely.
talking about it on KTAR.
Yes, Pat, we have, and we've got a little link there. Go to ktar.com, of course, the Dr. Sky blog. You can learn all about the great details and also our new podcasts on KTAR.
Listen, having plugged everything that you do,
You bet.
other than this television show, that's up to me. And then I can say, next time you visit, hey, we'll talk about the competition of China
Yes.
versus the United States. Where? Is that the Tokyo Olympics? No, it's on the moon. It's on Mars. It's wherever it is that you look. Dr. Sky is looking there too. I'm Patrick Bennett.